Yo, what's going on, ladies? It's your boy, Mr. Locario. So in this video, I'm going to talk about why the men you like, the men you really want, I'm going to talk about why they don't take you seriously. So when I say they're not taking you seriously, I'm talking about, they're not taking you seriously in the sense of they don't see you as a long-term partner. Now, the reason why this is because you have been sort of bullshitting with a lot of dudes that you deal with. So what do I mean by that? What I mean is a lot of guys that you've dealt with or, interacted with, gave your attention to, where you were just playing around, kind of like you knew you wasn't really feeling this guy, right? But you still sort of kind of entertained the situation because you didn't have anything else better in the situation when you were dating. You had guys who you were supposed to go on dates with that you flaked on them. There were guys that really liked you, but you weren't really feeling them, but you just kind of had them, on the sidelines because, you wanted to use them for an ego boost. You had guys who you would play hard to get and be very wishy-washy and give them the runaround when it came to sex. There were some times where you did certain things because, just at the moment you weren't feeling it at that moment. And then beforehand you were, but it came time for you to do certain things with a guy, but you just weren't feeling it. And then things didn't pan out how it, should have. Right. But there's a lot of this, kind of like dating around and doing all this stuff where you're just kind of going with the flow, but you're not really like invested in any one particular guy. You kind of just date like whatever. It's not anything going on. So what happens is that when you're playing around and you're doing all these things, right, you're doing these with guys that you're not really that into, which is why you're acting that way. Like you're not really into the guy. So you just kind of like whatever. And so you deal with a lot of guys like that because there are guys sprinkled in there that you like, but you notice that they don't stick around. And then you notice that the guys you don't like, those are the ones that's hitting you up, calling you, trying to make something happen. And you're just kind of, being all over the place with them. So what happens is that when you're all over the place with these guys that you're not really feeling, right? What happens is that you're not cultivating any type of, game. You're not becoming a woman who most guys would see as a long-term partner because you've been playing around all this time. Now, you're probably saying to yourself, oh, but I don't do that. Yes, you do that. Because even though you were in a situation where you was with a guy you liked and you wanted something to go down and it just didn't work out, there was a lot more guys that you gave the runaround to. Think about all the guys you flaked on because you just didn't feel like showing up to the date because you're just like, fuck it. Think about the guys you were leading on that you knew you weren't going to have sex with, that you knew you weren't that interested in, but you let the guy sort of like, take you out a few times or whatever. You understand? So what happens is that when you're doing these things, you're training yourself to be a woman that is not attractive in a sense as far as anything substantial. So when you do meet the guy you like, you don't know how to be that. Well, you're not that woman. You understand what I'm saying? You haven't been that woman because you've been playing around with all these other dudes. You've been playing games with all these other dudes. So that energy translates when you're talking to the guy you like. You understand? So you haven't built yourself up to be that attractive woman that guy would want for that long-term relationship. Right? You can't handle it. It's kind of like, let's say, for example, you have a person who goes to the gym and, they're working out, they're on a treadmill, they're jogging, you understand? And let's say they're doing this because they're trying to train their body to get fit because they're gonna, I guess, run a marathon or something like that, right? So they have to consistently be running, on the treadmill or jogging, outside to prepare for that marathon or whatever, right? Now, if the person is just going into the gym and playing around and they're like, they just walk on the treadmill for 2 minutes and, they do some cardio for another like 30 seconds and then be like, all right, I'm done, whatever. And just kind of do that once every blue moon, maybe twice a week, once a week, every now and then. They're not going to be prepared when a person's like, hey, run this marathon. They're not going to be able to do that because they've been playing around so much that they haven't built themselves up to become the person who can run that marathon. So what happens is you've been playing around so much with all these guys, playing all these games, doing all this goofy stuff. So when you meet the guy you really like, you don't know how to be a woman that he would consider long-term relationship material. You understand what I'm saying? Because you haven't really been in those situations where you were used to being that type of woman. You understand what I'm saying? So the thing is this is what's going to help you out. You need to cut back on dealing with the guys who are just for right now. You understand? The guys are just, oh, well, he's cool enough for right now, whatever. You understand what I'm saying? And focus more on, dealing with men that you actually like. Because see, what happens is when you deal with men you actually like, the guys you're really feeling, right? You're a little bit more focused on making things work because you want it to work. You understand? When you're with guys, you're kind of like iffy about, you just don't really give a fuck that much, which is why your actions are basically showing that you don't. But then see what happens is when you do that so much, it almost becomes like second nature to you to be that way. And then when you meet the guy you really like, you're acting the same way you're acting with the guy that you don't like. And so the guy that you really like, he's sort of getting that same energy as the guy you don't like. And then, he's kind of looking at you like, yeah, she's cute. I'll have sex with her, but that's about it. I don't really see any substance. I don't really see anything that's indicating that, she's a woman who would be good in a relationship. And he's right, because you haven't, been accustomed to being that type of woman. You understand? A lot of your experience and a lot of what you condition yourself to be is the girl who plays around and plays games. You understand? And see, that type of energy and the type of behavior seeps out when you're dealing with that guy that you really like. And that's why he doesn't take you seriously.